Hello, hello, hello. This is Tamika Peters, President and CEO of Grow Your Nonprofit, where we help startups, small and stagnant nonprofits grow through fundraising strategies, strategic planning, and so much more. Guys, today you're in for a treat. I have my friend and special guest here, Achie. She will tell us all about storytelling for your nonprofit and why it's so important. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsors of my podcast. Hodges University with a campus in Fort Myers. Stay near, go far, they change lives for the better. Trinity Life Foundation Naples, helping at-risk youth through their enrichment program. AVID, that stands for the Associations of Haitians Living Abroad. They just opened an amazing support center where they will help you with food insecurity, immigration support. They just had a back to school supplies and ESL taught by yours truly. Last but not least, Vaxtruth. They received a grant from the CDC to raise awareness of COVID-19 and vaccine resources in the Black and Brown community. So guys, like I said, my special guest here, Achie. How are you doing, Achie?
I am amazing. How are you, Tamika?
I'm doing fantastic. It has been far too long. I know we met each other, about maybe 5-6 years ago when I was at the shelter for abused women and children?
It was longer than that because my son, excuse me, my son just turned 6.
That's right.
So this was before that. So maybe like 8 years.
Wow.
At least 8 years. Yeah,
wow.
I would say about 8 years ago, yeah.
That's amazing. I think, were you a volunteer at the shelter? How did we meet? I'm trying to jog my memory, and I just can't quite remember.
I feel like we met at an event, but I did do some volunteer work at the shelter. I feel like we met at an event. We kept seeing each other around town.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought
you just moved to Naples at the time, right?
Well, if that's the case, it's been even longer because I moved to Naples in 2012. In 2012. And so I feel like I met you maybe a year or two after that and just kind of seeing you around town at different events and things of that nature. And then we connected because I did some volunteer work at the shelter.
Yeah. And in my last recollection of you is when you came to the shelter, and I think you donated a ton of shoes, right?
Okay, yeah.
A ton of beautiful shoes, guys. Beautiful shoes. I think you said you didn't wear them anymore. And I was looking at them. I was like, oh, this is for a donation. I was like, oh, they were gorgeous. Barely even worn shoes.
Right.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So before we get in the interview about storytelling, tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your company, and how you help your clients.
Yes. So my name is Achie McEachern. As Tamika said, I am a speaker and trainer. I'm also a certified coach, and I'm an entrepreneur, also a mom as well.
To a beautiful son.
Yes, energetic boy. I love him so much. But I do keynotes, I do trainings for organizations, and I help them to personally develop their staff because I believe that professional development is essential, but personal development is the thing that drives change. And from the stage, I use storytelling to help connect with audiences and also to help drive change in organizations.
I like that. 2 things stuck out. Personal and professional development training.
Yes.
Tell our audience why that is so important, because your number one capital, whether you believe it or not, is your human capital, and they walk out the door every day. Because if you don't have staff, you don't really have a business.
This is true.
Right? If you want to scale, you could do it yourself, but it's hard to scale alone.
Right.
So tell us the importance of training and developing your staff.
People fail to forget that wherever you go, there you are. That's very simple.
Let's dissect that. What does that mean?
So when I say wherever you go, there you are. However you perceive things, however you process things, whatever life experiences you've had, whatever I call filters, like how you see the world, however you do that, you're going to do that wherever you go.
Interesting. You're right? Yeah.
So if you... let's say you don't have emotional intelligence at home with your own family. Yeah. It's going to be hard to ask that of you in the workplace. If you're not strong with conflict resolution with your spouse. It's going to be hard to ask of that in the workplace. If maybe you take criticism the wrong way at home with your parents. every time your boss says something to you, or every time a coworker mentions something, it's going to be a personal attack.
Right.
So how you see the world is how you see the world. It doesn't matter where you are. So you could be in the workplace, you can be at home, you can be at the gym, you can be at the school. So working on the whole person, the personhood of being a professional.
So how do you get to the point of self-actualization and to overcome that? Because some people don't see that they even have a problem in the first place.
Yes.
And like you said, if someone calls you out on whatever it is, they feel like it's a personal attack and may not necessarily be a personal attack.
Right.
It may be just the truth.
Right. Exactly. One of the things that I talk about in one of my signature talks called the AAA transformation, creating congruence between who you are and who you want to be, is awareness. That's the first A of the AAA transformation.
Okay.
And awareness is knowing where you are, being aware of what you think. Asking yourself the question of what is really happening right now. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Why am I taking this type of way? Or why have I been behaving? And that goes on all fronts of life.
Yeah.
It's awareness. You cannot get to the finish line of any place before you acknowledge your starting point. And you have to acknowledge your starting point. And this is universal.
Yeah.
This can be, again, in any area of your life. You have to know where you're starting and how you're viewing things. But in order to do that, you have to get quiet. You have to actually
get quiet.
Yes. One thing that we talked about a little bit before we started recording is people are just existing.
Yes.
And we are so busy doing and we're not being. And in order to be, you have to actually get quiet.
I like that because yesterday, okay, so taking a step back, I have a habit, and I don't think it's a bad quality. I have a habit of when I'm passionate or I believe in someone or something and I'm trying to help someone, I find myself pouring too much into that person or that thing, and that ultimately I always end up getting disappointed and hurt. And a situation like that happened to me yesterday where I made an impact, but it seemed like everything that I'm doing is still not good enough. And the person has been calling me and I've been ignoring the phone call. But I'm going to call the person back, but I had to take a step back and analyze how I was feeling, why I was the way I was feeling. Was I wrong for feeling that way? Or was my inclination or hunch absolutely correct? And my mindset it is, because your heart is usually right.
Right.
But then it causes me to readjust my relationship with that person. I'm still going to do a really good job and work with them, but I guess I won't pour so much into it and readjust, I guess, how I work with that person.
Yeah, so that's awareness.
That's awareness.
That's definitely awareness.
So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Okay.
Being aware and then taking it a step further, which you said, your habit is you pour a lot.
Yeah.
So you would have to ask yourself, why do I do that? Because you said something.
Like,
you
why?
Said,
it's like because I want to help people.
But you said something.
Like, what did I say?
You said it seems like it's never enough.
Right.
So your personal work is finding out, why do I feel like no matter what I do is never enough?
Well, I feel like no. I feel like that person when I give to this person, if it's like they want more, it's like never enough, because it's like sometimes when people find out how talented you are and how much you could do, it's like they want more. I'm not saying that I'm not enough, because I know I am. Okay. I'm saying the person, it seems like they want more and more, and it's like what I'm doing is never good enough.
So this is something specific for this client.
Right.
Understood. Okay.
Right.
So that's a boundary thing for you.
Right. It's a boundary.
And you're absolutely right. A lot of times when people figure out that you have a large capacity, when they figure out that you're talented, when they figure out that you're a natural leader, and that you'll just take the reins and go with it, sometimes they will milk that cow a little too long. So that's a boundary for you to put up. Yeah.
Okay.
But that awareness, that's an example of awareness.
Yeah.
Because let's look at the contrary. What would the dynamic be had you not stepped back and said, okay, I'm doing too much. I feel like I'm getting drained dry. What's the alternative to that?
Well, if I didn't take a step back and just kind of analyze the whole situation before I jump back in, if you will, it would stress me out. I would not enjoy working with that particular client and doing what I'm doing. And I like to enjoy what I'm doing. Am I getting paid? Yes, I'm getting paid well. But for me, it's not all about the money. It's about the fulfillment that I came in to do a task. I killed it. And now I want to go on, because I like solving problems, I want to go on and help somebody else fix the next thing and make the next thing better. And that's why I do what I do. I love helping people.
Right. Exactly. And so that alternative is like burnout.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's just go. So if you go down the rabbit hole of burnout, and not to go too deep, but it's like, if you don't, just talking about the power of awareness, if you don't become aware and then you go into burnout in your case, how many areas of your life does that affect?
A lot, because when I come home, I'm drained and I have nothing for anyone else.
And we just talked about your new husband.
Yeah.
This is not a time to be drained from work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have kids, even though they're adults. You still have children, right? You still have your beautiful establishment, and you all, if you have not been here, this is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
So it's like you have other endeavors that you're working on.
I do.
And and then your own individual personhood. Right. So awareness can shift the trajectory of lives. Seriously.
So what the takeaway from you is, I need to set boundaries.
Absolutely.
And I need to stop giving so much and give all of that and give all that from my business and my family life, and have boundaries when I'm working with other people. And don't just...
Right. And you have that internal radar. I like to say we all have an internal radar. We do. We all know, okay, when enough is enough, or when I'm uncomfortable, and not uncomfortable like, we're afraid to do something, because that is a thing, but that's not this. The internal radar is what lets you know. It's like, okay, I need to take a step back. This is too much. I'm about to get into overwhelm. This is stressing me out. This is about to start causing problems. That internal radar. And I think that's what you felt, and I think that it was extremely wise of you to say, okay, let me pull back, because and then not only that, you don't want to like soil your relationship with that client, because it can turn into that, because if you're burnt out, and that can turn into irritation, frustration, resentment, and now you're teetering with the relationship between you and that client, which we know connection is everything. That can also connect to relationships to other people.
Right, exactly.
It's a domino effect.
It really is.
It's
so
a domino effect.
I think that's where emotional intelligence comes in. Like you mentioned, the internal radar, what that feels like, and identifying what is your internal radar, and knowing when to be silent, and quiet, taking a step back, and just analyzing your part in it, their part in it, and then the whole situation, and because there's a solution for everything.
It is, and nothing's personal,
like,
because you don't know, and I know you know this, but like, you don't know what that client is dealing with, what their overwhelm level is, everything they have going, and so it's like, we're just going to gently set a little boundary here, nicely hand them back to themselves just a wee bit, and give yourself back to you just a wee bit, and then you can have the freedom.
I like that. So you mentioned storytelling. What does that mean? Because I know in the nonprofit fundraising world, we say statistics tell and stories sell. So tell us about the selling side of storytelling.
So storytelling to me is a pivotal part of connection. People want to feel like they are connected. They want to feel like there's commonality. They want their emotions to be touched, and in my opinion, outside of like a one-on-one conversation, especially if you're talking to a group, storytelling is the next best thing. And storytelling to me, like I said, it creates connection, and connection creates action. On an individual scale and on a collective scale. So individually, if there's a friendship or a relationship, we talked about you and your new husband. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
But when there's connection that's made, action is then taken. So whether that is setting up a date, whether it's setting up a business luncheon, whether it's setting up some sort of meeting, whether it's, connecting some sort of way, it sets up the next step of action. And so when you're able to connect with donors, audiences, things of that nature, it will cause them to move. Because people want to feel like they understand what's really happening. And you give someone statistics, listen. who really remembers that?
Right.
But you tell someone a story and they can see themselves in that.
Yeah.
And if they can't see themselves in that, they can see someone they know in it. And even if it's not someone they know, it's like a movie. You instantly place yourself there, even if you place yourself there as a spectator.
Right.
Even if there's no way that you can relate to the story, you relate because you're a spectator. So it's like you literally, you're sitting at the foot of the story being told. Right? And so I think that when you're sharing stories, it is important to share what is deeply real and deeply true.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, because when you're telling the story, if you're not authentic, people know. They can see right through it, because you could see their eyes, you could see their body language. If they're like this and they're hanging on your every word, you know you've captured them. Yeah.
And the thing is, so when I say what's deeply real and true, so here's an example. So what's a surface example of real and true is, we need your support, we need donor dollars, we need volunteers, we need people that's going to help make this organization go. We know that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
All right. Yeah. What's significant about that?
Right.
What is deeply real and true is that Jessica and Maurice, their lives have a chance to be changed. Their lineage has a chance to be changed, because they will be the first ones to be able to go to college for the first generation college attendees. They've never had, given a story of their family. They've never had this opportunity. Let me tell you about how they, their childhood and the thing, just the real and true story of why support is needed. And the change that it will make. And you cannot translate that with statistics.
No, you cannot. You
cannot translate that with statistics.
When you say that I'm thinking in every aspect of not only nonprofit but for-profit, but we're talking about the nonprofit world, but anywhere from when you're just like in a thank you letter.
Yes.
You could tell the story. If you're having a lunch or a meeting with the donor, you could tell a story. If you're just you meet someone and they ask you what you do. I mean, the story, you could, if you're conscious about it, you could just be telling stories all the time and making connections and like everything.
Yeah. Because we're all people, we're all human.
Yeah.
And we get, we can forget about that, because again, we're busy we have businesses, we have to pay bills, we have things to do. I mean, that's a real thing. But behind all of that are humans who crave connection. People want to be seen, people want to be heard, people want to be understood, people want to feel included.
Yeah. I was just talking to someone the other day about when we talk about like diversity in companies.
Yes.
And how sometimes on the news you hear about, racial slurs and racial this and people being put down. And I said, well, a smart company will embrace diversity because you have different mindsets, you have different philosophies. Yeah. They bring so much to the table that it's actually beneficial to your company to have that. And it behooves me to think that some people just can't see that and get out of their own way because they're scared somebody may take their position. I was just talking to a nonprofit consultant this morning. A friend connected me to him because he just wrote a book about leadership for nonprofit.
Awesome.
And then I was talking about, I was getting to know him because I was going to interview him on my podcast. And I was talking about collaboration, and he was surprised because he's a nonprofit consultant. I say, hey, I don't look at you as my
competition
because I said, number one, there's enough for everyone to go around.
It is.
Number two, collaboration is where it's at, because I can learn something from you. You can learn something from me.
We can connect to different people through each other. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And he was like, yeah. He was like, that mindset will get you very far. And I was like, yeah. And sometimes when I approach other people to collaborate with me, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, we're competitors. Like why are you calling me to?
But that's also what I found. That is a scarcity mindset.
It is.
That is a scarcity. There is not enough to go around. Someone's going to take what's mine. What is for you?
It's for you.
It's for you. And there is nothing that anyone can do that will take what is for you. Once I learned that, I said, okay, you know what? I'm always on time. I'm always at the right place at the right time. Life is always happening for me, not to me.
Yeah. And I think about throughout my life all the things that I've done to help others and give
Yeah.
Like, what has it taken away from me? Nope. I continue to receive abundance.
Exactly.
I was blessed with this studio.
Yeah.
Blessed with the list goes on. It's like, it has taken nothing from me.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes people think they used you, but it's like God blesses you.
Yeah. Like, you can think that if you want to.
Yeah. It's amazing. So before we wrap up, how could nonprofits start implementing storytelling in everything they do?
Yeah. So not only from the stage in, your big events, your big fundraising events, but like you said, even in your letters, even in your thank you letters, even if it's not a thank you letter, even if it's just a update letters, it could be, instead of just letters, videos, where throughout the years, whatever the cause is, there's real stories of how that organization is impacted, sharing those, like a 2 or 3 minute video where they're sharing with their donors and their supporters, stories of the people who are supporting the organization, how their lives have changed by being a part of something great. Like, just throughout the year, on a consistent basis, being clear with communicating with your people about the impact that's being made, and just taking whatever it is that you want to share and finding the story in it. It's really quite simple. Just finding the story in whatever it is. And not, I know we want to be professional, but not being so rigid.
Right. Yeah.
Be professional, but also be human.
Be human.
Yeah, we're not robots. We got AI out here doing that for us.
Oh my God.
That's another topic for another day.
That's another topic. That's another topic, how, that's going to really change the world.
Yeah.
And my concern is that some people are sleeping on this, and they don't realize that their jobs are being eliminated before them. Even McDonald's, I read a story about McDonald's they opened that's fully automated by robots. There's no humans working in there.
I believe it. I saw something the other day on LinkedIn where they have, it was in China, I believe, but they had, was it drones or something? Like, fire hose. I'm sorry, I'm lost for words.
Firefighters?
Yes, using the drones as firefighters.
I can see
taking
that.
the fire. Hitting the fire with the water hose with the drones.
Wow.
So it's like small things that they're just replacing. So it is more important now to be human than ever before.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah. Well, that already started sort of. I don't know, maybe 20 plus years ago with the automotive industry. What was that place where the whole town survived based off the big 5 automotive companies, and basically the robots sort of took over making the cars. What's the name of that? Detroit?
Is it Detroit? Detroit. It's a place but I hadn't heard that story before.
Yeah, Detroit.
Wow.
Where because in the beginning, remember, humans would be putting the parts together, cars, and then eventually the robots were taken over, and they didn't need all the staff, and it really annihilated the entire town. And I don't know how they're doing now. I know there's a lot of recovery, a lot of abandoned houses, and people are buying houses and flipping them and stuff. But it's interesting that they couldn't see that it slowly came in. Even cashiers today, I'm like, can't you see that your jobs are eventually going to eliminate? Go out and get some skills. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Right.
So, with that said, how would someone from our audience, if they're interested in utilizing your services, hiring you for a speaking engagement, how could they contact you? If you could give your website, your telephone number, it'll appear on the screen.
Absolutely. My website is iamachie.com. My phone number is 770-771-3365. I'm also on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Those are also amazing ways to reach me.
Yes. I am Achie. How do you spell Achie?
Yes.
Because I'm like,
That's okay. ACHIE. iamachie.com.
Yeah, that's a fabulous name.
Thank you.
A fabulous name.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come on the Grow Your Nonprofit podcast episode. It's been wonderful.
Yes, it has. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for having me. This has been great. Thank you.
Yes. So guys, another amazing consultant right here in the beautiful Southwest Florida, helping nonprofits and for-profit businesses with training and development, speaking engagement, and most important, storytelling. That is so important, connecting with people, because like Achie said, people want to be heard. People want to connect with people, because I always see businesses, some of them are thriving, others are really dead. It's how you connect with your customer. Absolutely. If you have a restaurant, you're walking around to different tables asking how your clients, you like your food. So it's really about connecting with people, because people shop with people. Yes. And that's the difference. So guys, again, I hope that you learned something, and this is something that you can implement in your organization. This is Tamika Peters. I'm signing off, and stay tuned for more Grow Your Nonprofit podcast episodes.